I know.
Lost their minds about it. To the point where, again, I had The View either the next day or the day after to sort of promote this book. Oh, that was a joke. Like when Kill Tony, do you remember he told like the joke heard around the world in Madison Square Garden during the 2024 election? I remember getting into an argument. That's the real measure of whether a state's doing well.
Yeah, the state has more people moving out than moving in, and that has never happened before.
Or why not just have voter ID?
Yeah, that's insane. Not only did they not have voter ID, you can't show your ID. You're not allowed to show your ID. Thing.
We are trying to make it a federal thing. So we are right now trying to pass the Save America Act. One of its main provisions is a requirement. But it's like, Gavin Newsom did this speech a few months ago. The president, I think it's the funniest thing ever because he's like speaking to a group.
Here, Biden has not undergone recent brain surgery. He underwent 2 successful, life-saving brain surgery.
That was the incentives of the party. Like if you remember that debate where it was, do you want taxpayer-funded Medicare for illegal aliens? I know. You got to have a little fun sometimes, though. But in 2024, somebody is holding up a sign at the Iowa State Fair. I think it may have been Vivek's 4th. But I also think that, the late Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist sort of said this, that if you're...
They wanted to... What is going on here, Jamie? What do you got? Bible stories become required reading in Texas public schools. Yeah, see? Well, now...
I see.
So here it is. Military commander tells troops bombing Iran is part of God's divine plan. So we started getting calls that don't worry, it's all part of God's plan. They promised a 200-mile long river that is 4.5.
That there's both a short-term and a long-term piece of it. I think the short-term piece of it is effectively what's already been done, which is you destroy the nuclear sites. Than almost anything that I've ever worked on in public life. What it says is Iran is going to open the Strait of Hormuz. The violence is going to stop. And the coalition that Donald Trump piloted to the 2024 election campaign, it was a landslide. We won 7 states. It was historic like that, at least since the days of Ronald Reagan. So like literally before I was alive. Okay. So is look at public opinion. Look at the way young Republicans versus Republicans over the age of 65 pursue. And again, with limitations. Like when the Iranians hit ships, the president has been willing to knock the hell out of the Iranians in response. This is not
the Epstein files. And she was saying there's tens of thousands of hours of film.
I don't know what the purpose of it was. 25. It was, you have to go back to 2007, 2008. The original Alex Acosta investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, where he basically dropped the federal charges. I think Epstein ended up getting prosecuted on some sort of local thing, but the original, no evidence for it. Now, the Epstein law gets signed. We find 6 million documents. If you go back to the original Epstein guy was Les Wexner, okay, who Columbus, Ohio, was the Palm Beach police. That's in the Epstein files.
Right.
It was Donald Trump.
He also kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
In the Epstein files.
Right.
It was Donald Trump.
He also kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago in 2005.
Kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. It just became president, didn't seem to care about it during the Biden administration. He actually brought one of the Epstein victims, I think, to the State of the Union last year. Really interesting element of the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga. Okay, so he dies in 2019, right? This is at the very end of the first Trump administration. Yeah, I remember this movie. I don't think I ever saw it, though.
1993. Good movie, but sensational. And Travis Walton says what is the information that's available? Like,
my understanding is
to
it's
David
basically
Grush and a lot of these other people, that there have been movie The Age of Disclosure.
I've not.
Okay. Well, a lot of people, including intelligence officers, different people in the government are in this documentary. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they're saying is part of the problem with all this is if they have had these programs.
I've heard this argument. Yeah, I've heard this argument. Yeah.
So Lou Elizondo and all these other people have said, look, what we're going to need is mass amnesty for people that are involved. Right. So I don't have any proof. So I believe Commander David Fravor. I believe Ryan Graves.
Yeah.
He was a fighter pilot. It's the only way they can get them to give up their property. And when you're hearing like Mamdani talk about freezing rents and taking back
option, then it leads to fascism and communism. Now, there's this fascinating encyclical written by Pope Leo XIII that had way too much power. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt famously talked about how some of the steel trusts were more.
The problem that people would have with that is that corporations have a responsibility to their shareholders, and
Sure.
they always want to make the most money possible, and they have to make
pool of low-wage workers to go to. And this is like a consistent finding in the economics literature, but also just common sense that it's crazy. No, I mean, there's this story from a few years ago. It was the New York Times. It was like unintentionally hilarious. We get to the 9% inflation of the Biden administration. Yes, the Trump administration has had a much better record on inflation than the Biden administration. Nothing close to.
It's not a coincidence that, I mean, like what we dealt with over the last 4 years was insane, where they just opened.
And obviously, I disagree with a lot of their ideas, but like if you go back to Cesar Chavez, one of the original like founding fathers of the American workers, and that would drive down their wages. And yet the DSA, which says that they care about the wages of workers, is quite literally like